Hello and welcome to HomeTech. HomeTech is a podcast dedicated to discovering and exploring new and old technologies for the home. We discuss news about the Internet of Things, home automation, and more. I'm Seth Johnson in Florida, and I'm joined by Jason Griffin in Los Angeles. This is episode 5, WeMo Home Automation by Belkin.
Welcome to the Home Tech Podcast, episode 5. I'm joined by Seth. How are you doing, Seth?
Doing well. How are you, Jason?
I'm doing very well, thanks. Good to be back with you, and looking forward to today's episode.
Yeah. I think we've got a pretty good one lined up here. We also had the previous episode with Ted Rosenberger. That was, I would say, it's our best interview yet.
Yeah, stiff competition, but yeah, I would agree. Yeah, that just went live actually today, the same day that we are recording this episode, and I thought it was a great conversation. And I'm looking forward tonight to jumping into some of the, top stories in the news this week, and we're also going to talk a little bit about Belkin, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But I had the opportunity, actually, out here in Los Angeles. Belkin's headquarters is conveniently located about 15 minutes from where I live, so I had gotten in touch with some of the guys over there and had the opportunity to go over and take a tour of the facility. And it's a really beautiful facility, and learn a little bit about what Belkin is doing and what their vision is for home automation moving forward. So it was a lot of fun, and it was a great opportunity.
Very cool. Can't wait to hear what all you learned and what all they're up to. So Belkin and the WeMo line of things are really key to. Yeah, I go in $1 million homes every day, and it'll surprise you how many of those WeMo devices that I pop across that maybe were picked up at a at a local big box store, which is pretty awesome, because it just shows you there's that much interest out there for these types of devices.
Yeah, absolutely. And for anyone listening who may not be familiar with WeMo, it's a line of home automation products. They essentially right now have light switches, motion detectors, things of that nature that obviously connect to the internet and allow you to control them through a Belkin app. So we'll talk in more detail about what WeMo is and what it does when we get to that section. But I think before we jump into the news, I believe you had a couple of follow-up items that you wanted to touch base on. Yeah,
this would be two episodes ago, so episode 3, where we talked a little bit about Alarm.com. There were two things that I missed that we just ran short on time essentially, and they were at the bottom of the notes, and I meant to get to them, but so here they ended up in follow up. I didn't mention anything about Alarm.com supporting lighting, which they do. So you could use Z-Wave lighting devices to integrate with a compatible alarm panel, and you can actually use the Alarm.com app to turn on and off those lights. So that's actually a really cool feature, and totally missed it last week, but oh well. And
yeah, it happens.
Yeah. And the other thing is that they have announced a Platform Connect, is what they call it, API, that's actually allowing them to integrate with other companies. And they launched this with Lutron. So Lutron makes a lighting control system that is really good for retrofits. It's Radio Raw 2. So they had Radio Raw in the past, and this is the second revision of that, I guess. So the Raw 2 system integrates now with Alarm.com using their Platform Connect API.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
Yep. So unfortunately, it's not open up for development other than maybe outside those large manufacturer partners.
Right.
But it does give you the ability, if you have one of those systems, Raw 2 systems, they're very common, to integrate it directly into the Alarm.com app and use that app for your interface. So it's a pretty cool setup if you've got all those pieces. Yeah,
definitely.
So I guess let's just move right on into the news.
Yeah, definitely. I think top story we were just talking about a little bit, or at least one of them, is this Comcast Netflix deal that went down recently. And we don't want to get into too many of the particulars about it because it's been covered ad nauseum. But the sort of high-level view of the deal is that Netflix is now entering into an agreement with Comcast, and I believe it still has to be approved by the courts, whereby they will actually pay Comcast for access to higher speed connections to their customers' homes. So it's an interesting story because on one hand, it's kind of a good thing. You and I both work in homes. We both work with homeowners constantly who are complaining about Netflix timing out and buffering and not working as well as they want it to. And a deal like this will help mitigate that, ensuring Netflix is going to get the bandwidth that it needs. But on the other hand, it kind of sets a precedent, and it sort of implies that maybe the playing field isn't going to be so level for streaming content moving forward.
No, and I mean, what's going to happen is if you're a Netflix customer, you're just going to end up paying for that eventually. If the costs go up on Netflix sides, they're just going to pass it right on to you. And it's sad that you pay Comcast for internet, you pay Netflix for their service, and Comcast is now saying, no, Netflix, you need to pay us to get to our customers too. And I don't think that, I mean, personally don't think that's right. I don't think a lot of people think it's right, but this is kind of the world we're moving into now. So, you're going to, we'll all see where it goes. Like you said, the courts all have to approve it and everything, but I think it's just going to get a big rubber stamp on it and move forward. So
Yeah. And I've seen articles that say that it won't result in price hikes, which is obviously an easy thing for them to say right now. But I think it remains to be seen how this is really going to shake out. And I know it's got all the net neutrality people up in arms, and it's the slippery slope argument, which I completely get. But at the same time, from the ISP's perspective, companies like Comcast are looking at Netflix, and I think they're still struggling to wrap their brain around it. I've seen statistics as high as 30% that say that during peak internet usage hours, Netflix is consuming 30% of the broadband bandwidth in the country, which is jaw-dropping, really.
Yeah, it's pretty staggering.
Yeah. So there's two sides to the argument, and definitely going to be keeping my eye on it to see how it shakes out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and the other side, on the consumer side, I don't think consumers wouldn't mind, paying to get access to faster internet. And I mean, the other side of that story is where Google is expanding into 34 new cities. Yeah. So, they're going to offer some blazingly fast internet speeds, gigabit internet speeds for, I want to say it was like $30 a month last time I looked it up. It's not very expensive at all.
Sounds about right. I don't know exactly, but I think it's in the ballpark.
So, and in those cities where they're in direct competition with Comcast, you're already seeing prices drop for Comcast and their speeds go up just so they can compete with Google. And, that's competition's good for us. So, if you're in one of those 34 lucky cities.
Yeah.
So,
it's certainly, and Google Fiber is such a compelling story, and definitely one that all the techies are keeping their eye on. So it all does kind of tie together. The whole net neutrality, and Google Fiber is going to be a game changer. So we could consider doing an episode just on Google Fiber one of these days to kind of cover what it is, what it does, what its implications are.
Yeah, or fiber in general.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. So that's that. Let's see. SmartThings updated their iOS app there wasn't very much. There was a couple bug fixes, I guess, in it. But what stood out to me was a feature that they added in. And it allows end users to take pictures of their installations or things that they've done with their SmartThings and share them with everybody else. So right in the app, and one of the menu items, it's there's a customer's pictures item, and you can select that and see what other people are doing. And I just thought that was very clever.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a cool idea. I like the fact that they're actually integrating it right into the app as opposed to like a separate Twitter or Instagram campaign. It's actually cooked right in there into the app, which is really cool.
Yep, social home automation, I guess. But
yeah,
but no, it's really, really cool because there are people out there that are way more clever than I am, and they can put together some very interesting things that really fit with their workflow and how they would use these things. And heck, if I see something like that, something that I like, I'm definitely going to use it. So it's just a really clever idea, and thought it was pretty neat. Thought it deserved some mention.
I think it's great. I think we've talked about it before, and with all of this new technology and the Internet of Things, I think one of the things that people are struggling with the most is we've got all of this really cool technology, and the challenge now is not really can we do all these cool things? It's, well, what do we do with all these cool things? We've got sensors are so ubiquitous, and the SmartThings platform is really powerful, but actually figuring out how to put that technology to good use, there's still a ton of room for creativity there. And I think that this feature that they're putting into their app really reflects that, and they want to nurture that social environment where people are actually sharing cool ideas and expanding uses for this technology.
Very cool, very cool. And another quick story that we ran across this last, well, I guess they announced it. There's two stories that were announced at ISE. The first is Control4 expanding their home security solutions. So what they've done is, and I know a little bit about this because I was kind of on the early side of things, both in alpha and beta testing of this feature.
Oh, cool. You got the insider track for us, huh?
Yeah, it's not so much the insider track; it's that there's a lot of work to do.
The guinea pig track.
Well, yeah. I work for some manufacturers doing development for Control4, so
got it.
Yeah. We get, you kind of have to work in conjunction with them very early on to get that moving. These types of feature moving. So, what they've brought in is the H.264 support into their cameras. Into the system, so you can get 1080p streaming video, or HD video, at least compressed video, into the interfaces. And right now it works with the iOS and Android apps. It doesn't work on the touch screens or the on-screen integrators. The on-screen navigators. But yeah, it's a really really good step forward. For Control4, because for a long time they've really been limited on the number of cameras really that you could use in the system.
So essentially they introduced compatibility with H.264. Is that correct? Did they not have that before?
Yeah, they didn't have the ability to do that before.
And H.264, for listeners who may not know, it's a video compression format, and it's a very common format. So the fact that they're now compatible with that, it really will open up opportunities for Control4. People who own Control4 systems now have a lot more options available to them as far as what kind of cameras they can use with their Control4 system.
Right. In the security camera world, and especially on the HD side of security cameras, the H.264 is the de facto standard, or becoming the de facto standard. That is used between those manufacturers. So this really just opens up the doors for Control4 and those types of integrations. So I mean, it's a good thing. More options.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, one other story that we had talked about briefly is this Haier. I don't know if it's Haier or Haier. I'm not really sure, but it's the manufacturer. They've launched a smart home Zigbee tablet, which they announced at the Mobile World Congress, which is going on in Barcelona. Recently, they showed a prototype of the tablet at CES 2014, but it's kind of an interesting looking tablet because it's geared around the smart home, and on the surface it's easy to dismiss it and say, oh, it's just another tablet. My iPad can do home automation. But what makes this one interesting is that it actually acts as the brains of the operation, so to speak. So when you're doing home automation through an iPad, for instance, it's talking over the Wi-Fi to some sort of hub or processor that is then talking to the devices. Well, this tablet, if I'm understanding it correctly, it doesn't require a hub. It is actually the brains of the operation, and it speaks directly to the devices that you're trying to control, either over Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, or Zigbee.
Cool. Very cool.
So it's an interesting approach, and be curious to see where it goes. It seems to have gotten some good press from what I've seen. It's very thin. It's about 0.3 inches thin, and very light. And it looks like it's going to retail for about right around $680 US. Most of the stories I saw quoted it in euros. It was 499 euros, which at the time of this recording is about $680. So it's not cheap, but be interesting to see where it goes.
Yeah, no, and it's kind of interesting. Not a week goes by where we don't see some kind of launch like this now of a complete home automation solution or some type of device that can integrate with home automation systems. This is pretty cool. Higher Hair is a very large appliance company, so
yeah,
it should be interesting to see who else throws their hat in the ring.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on it and see. I don't fully understand really how it programs and sets up. Obviously, it's being marketed as a do-it-yourself solution, so there's going to be some sort of features within the app that allow you to add devices to your system and presumably ID different devices. And there's going to be some sort of user setup that has to go on. But any device that they put out a driver for that can communicate over Wi-Fi or Bluetooth or Zigbee should be able to talk directly to this tablet. So $680 is, it's not cheap, but when you consider the fact that you don't need a home automation hub and that it can actually talk directly to your devices, it's also not very expensive.
Yeah, that's $700. Not so bad.
Yeah,
touchscreen and a controller. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and it's got. I think the last thing I wanted to touch on it is it's got a SIM slot for GSM or 3G that you can actually put a SIM card into it, and it has some video conferencing features built into it. So that was kind of a cool little add-on. And there's a TV Wi-Fi dongle that they're putting out in conjunction with the tablet, so that you can plug it into your TV and simulcast from your tablet to the TV itself. So it's got the 2 megapixel front camera, and then it's also got a rear camera, which is 8 megapixels. So it's a respectable camera.
Yeah, not bad. Yeah, you get some really good shots of your Internet of Things. Look at you could actually just post it right through your tablet there.
Yeah, so. Yeah. It's always funny. It is always funny when you see people using their tablets as cameras. I just can't get over that. But
oh man, yeah. I took a vacation through Europe, and it was pretty
everywhere.
Bad. It was everywhere. It was an epidemic.
Yeah,
the Hall of Mirrors at Versailles, and you're in the most beautiful place you'd ever be in. There's someone walking around just waving a tablet in the air, taking video. It's like, that's gonna look so bad when you get home.
All right. Well, yeah, that was pretty much everything I wanted to touch on in the news. So we could transition into speaking a little bit about Belkin, if you want to move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. So you got to take a little visit to the Belkin complex. I guess. Yeah,
I did.
HQ.
Belkin HQ, exactly. I, through the magic of Twitter, ended up getting in touch with some of the guys over there, and it came to light that their headquarters was located here in Playa Vista, which is only about a 15-minute drive from where I live. So we coordinated a time to go down there on a Thursday morning and take a walk around the facility and just chat and kind of see what they have going on down there. And it was a lot of fun. It's a really beautiful facility. I was able to take a couple of pictures, but some of the things that I saw, I'm not allowed to take pictures for obvious reasons. But we'll post maybe a couple of pictures up on the websites. I think it's kind of cool to see where this stuff actually comes together, and I thought it was interesting. So we talked for a while and just kind of walked around the facility and sort of talked about Belkin's vision for home automation and why they got into it in the first place and what they envision the company doing moving forward.
Very cool. Very cool. So I assume that you guys talked quite a bit about the WeMo line of things, which we...
Yes, absolutely. It's a good point. So Belkin is obviously a huge company, and WeMo is really just one facet of their business, albeit a big one moving forward. But we should just touch on WeMo briefly. What it is, it's a family of. I'll just read this off their website. WeMo is a family of simple, ingenious products that make life easier, simpler, better. WeMo uses your Wi-Fi network and mobile internet to control your home electronics right from your smartphone. So we're talking about light switches, plugs, motion sensors, all that obviously connect to the internet and can be controlled very easily from your smartphone.
Yeah, I'm more familiar with WeMo because, I have some friends internationally that use them. WeMo is actually international, so it has the 240 volt
Yep.
devices.
Yeah, it does. Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So they use them for wireless outlet switches and that kind of thing overseas, and they work really well. So that's the first I'd ever heard of them. I guess I'm not sure if they were announced overseas or here first, but that's the first I ever heard of them.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure either, but I do know he mentioned that they are overseas. Belkin is an international company. Their current product lineup is a light switch, a motion detector. They've got an insight switch, which is basically a plug-in module that gives you some added features of energy monitoring that you don't get out of the in-wall light switch currently. And they've got actually some cool stuff coming up that they've talked just briefly about. Some of this stuff was announced at CES a little bit, but we touched on it while I was there. And there's a few new products and developments coming our way soon from WeMo that I think are exciting, and we can jump into those now.
Yeah, cool. No, new product's great.
Yeah. So they actually are getting into lighting, and so this is similar sort of to what Philips Hue has. Philips Hue, though, is color changing, obviously, and these are just standard LED lights, and they are starting with a WeMo lighting starter set, and this comes with 2 of the bulbs and a WeMo Link. So the WeMo Link is the device that speaks, and it's Zigbee. It's a Zigbee device, and it speaks to the light bulbs. And the WeMo Link can communicate with up to 50 of the smart LED bulbs. And that's starting set is going to go for $129.99, and it's still currently listed on their site as coming soon. So this is a product that is not available just yet, but will be presumably soon.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. Just like I think the Philips Hue lights are Zigbee as well, but you need the little Philips Hue, the little base station to go along with the devices. But all the lighting devices. But this is pretty cool. And the price point is a lot lower, I think, than the Hue lights. I mean, it looks like $40. It's saying for the LED bulbs.
Yeah, so you can add on top of that starter set. You can add more bulbs for $40.
Yeah, I mean that's not bad. That's what most people are paying for these LED bulbs in the first place. Around $30, I think. So
yeah,
for $40, you get a smart bulb. That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's not a lot extra from what you would be paying for a normal LED bulb, and you get a lot of really cool features like scheduling, vacation mode, so simulated occupancy. So if you had a house full of these and you were going away on vacation for a couple of weeks, you could set them up to sort of randomly turn on and off at different times and kind of make it look like your home, as opposed to just putting everything on a timer that's very robotic. This will actually do more of a simulated occupancy. Dim to sleep features as well. So there's a lot of cool features and logic built into these little light bulbs. So I think it's an exciting development for WeMo.
Yeah, definitely.
And then we touched briefly on WeMo has a new product coming out that they're calling the Maker Kit. And the idea behind the Maker Kit is that you can essentially add automation to, well, they say anything. That's kind of how they're pitching it. Make anything a smart device. So what you do is it basically has a contact closure on it. It's a relay module. So it goes on to the network, and then you can put up to a 36-volt DC power supply running through it. And then from the WeMo app, you can control whether or not that the Maker is going to pass voltage. So you can use it essentially to control things like an irrigation system. In professional automation, we use relays often to control things like lift motors or sometimes shades, screens, that sort of thing. So some of the use case scenarios for it, I'm having a little bit of trouble wrapping my head around, and I'd be curious to see what you think about it, but it does look like an interesting device.
Yeah. Like you said, I'm not sure where they're going to go with it. But it's another point of, it's another output on the IO list of the ins and outs. You have this one more output. I think it's only going to help them kind of solidify their base, and you could use that relay module to do a lot of things. Say you tied it into like a heavy duty relay, you could use it to turn on and off a pool pump, or some kind of fountain motor, that kind of thing. So, I mean, there could be a couple things that I could dream up to do with this, but it's going to be a product not for the masses, but for a more advanced user that kind of knows how to wire that stuff up.
Yeah, that was what I took away from it as well. This is a product that caters more for the people who really like to tinker, and that's great. I think that it's awesome that they're going to cater to those people and put out a product that'll allow some of the users to get a little more creative. And I saw in one of the stories about the Maker Kit that they've got an SDK as well, a software development kit for people who really want to get in there and tweak and play around.
Yep, that looks really cool.
So that's the WeMo Maker. They've got some upcoming app improvements. So apparently, from my conversations with them, the sunrise and sunset times, they've had a lot of people requesting the ability to sort of tweak those a little bit, and it looks like that's coming in an upcoming app release, so you can kind of do offsets of sunset and sunrise. One of the big things with WeMo that really enhances its power is its integration with IFT, if this then that. And there's a lot of talk about the different cool things that you can do when you tie in WeMo and IFT. And one of the things that they have coming is a customizable long press gesture for IFT. So it would act as a distinct trigger beyond just turning on a light. So you could actually press and hold and have that act as a separate trigger to maybe cue a text message to let somebody know that you're home or something like that.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah, so it's kind of a cool little thing. And like we talked about earlier with smart things and how it's sort of yet to be determined how people are going to use this. And I think this is one of those features too that it'll be even more interesting once it comes out to kind of look at the IFT recipes. You can go on their website and you can see what people are doing with it, and to see some of the creative uses that people come up with this long press trigger. I'll be anxious to see what people are doing with that.
Yeah, me too. That's I mean, that's just another that's an input there, not an output, but so they're definitely adding on to the input, what we call the I/O of their system. So the more input and the more output you have, the more robust the system can be, and that's pretty awesome. I mean, it's kind of basic from the stuff that we're used to dealing with day in and day out. But you know what? It's great. It's great to see, a firmware update or something can bring that into play.
Yeah, and that was one of the things I took away from my meeting with them, is that they're very serious about continuing to push out firmware updates, and they really want to keep that coming and keep their users incentivized to keep tweaking and buying more light switches. And they feel like one of the easiest ways to do that is just by making it more fun and giving their users more options for integrations and what they can do with the product. So we had talked about that, and then we had actually touched on this in a previous episode. WeMo is really pushing for partnerships, and they've partnered up with the Jarden Consumer Solutions, and that's a whole family of brands. It's one of these big conglomerates that has a lot of different brands underneath it. It's sort of an umbrella company, and some of the companies underneath it are Crock-Pot, which we actually touched on in a previous episode. So they've got
the WeMo Crock-Pot,
the WeMo enabled Crock-Pot. Yeah, and I actually saw one of those at the headquarters there, and it is a kind of a funny offering. But you and I were talking about it, and I think pricing on that Crock-Pot it's like $100. So
yeah, I think I was saying I thought it was kind of funny during the show when you brought it up, but when I started doing the show notes and I looked at the price tag and it was $100. I said, if my wife ever sent me to the store and they had a couple of Crock-Pots sitting here, and one of them had the ability for me to tie into the my WeMo system, even if it was $20 more, all right, I'll get that.
Yeah,
it's probably going to be the first one I get.
Yeah, they made the price point compelling enough to where they're probably going to get a number of people, just like you said, who may not be at home going, oh, I really need an internet connected Crock-Pot.
Right.
But, people who are shopping for one might see it and go, oh, for the extra $20, I can monitor my meal and do some other cool things. So that it's an interesting offering. They're also Mr. Coffee is a brand that's under this Jarden Consumer Solutions umbrella. So that's an obvious integration there.
Oh yeah, I mean that would have been I thought that would have been the first thing. But yeah, a long press gets a pot of coffee made.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. So you could set that up very easily, and when you turn on your maybe vanity light in the morning to start getting ready, then you do a long press on your WeMo switch, and the coffee pot starts. So very cool. And the coffee brewing in the morning is one of those classic examples that people always cite with home automation. So it's a natural fit. And it looked like they're also talking about integrating with homes who makes heaters and humidifiers and air purifiers. So
cool.
some of the applications there could be kind of interesting.
Oh, definitely.
I think the takeaway from that is that really where I think the tipping point is for a lot of this technology is when the brains sort of get built right into the devices, and you're not necessarily always relying on a third party like if this then that or something, where maybe these devices now can talk to each other directly, and some of that processing and brain power is just built right into all the devices around us. So we also covered one of the big initiatives being undertaken right now at Belkin is called the Conserve Business Unit, and they've really got an eye towards the future of conserving energy, and that we've talked about before is going to be huge, I think, for home automation. It's going to be one of the driving forces is energy conservation and energy monitoring, and Belkin is actually really moving in that direction. And we talked about a company that they had acquired back in 2010. So it was a few years ago that they acquired this company, but it's a really interesting story. And the company is called Zensi. Had you ever heard of that before?
No, not at all. But I know that this energy monitoring and energy conservation is going to be a huge part of home automation in the future. So I mean, it absolutely makes sense, and that a company serious about home automation would kind of make those acquisitions. It looks like Belkin did kind of under the radar. Like you said, back in 2010.
Like a little bit under the radar. I think only people that really follow the tech scene probably wouldn't be under the radar to them. They would argue with us there. But
right.
When I dug a little bit, it didn't seem to get a ton of coverage, but it's a very interesting story. Zensi, basically what Belkin was buying was intellectual property. And Zensi's idea is around like the power of feedback loops. And it's essentially a technology that I think it's clearest if we talk about some of the applications of it. So one of the products that they're working on right now, it was written about in an article, is called Zorro. And it uses this Zensi intellectual property where it essentially is a smart meter on steroids. It's like a super smart meter. And the majority of smart meters out there will monitor your energy usage at your house and just aggregate it all. It'll just show you the overall usage, how much energy you're using at home.
Right. Well, so when I look at my electrical bill, I see that I've used so many kilowatt hours, and that is charged so many cents per hour, and I get a nice few $100 bill at the end of the month.
Exactly. And so what this device can do is it has this built-in technology where it's actually can tell the various electromagnetic interference signatures in different devices. So it's actually smart enough to be able to look at the energy use in your house, and it can tell the difference between you turning on, say, a blender, turning on a TV, a washing machine. And so it's actually giving you a incredibly granular view of your energy usage. And the implications of that could be very, very powerful.
Right. And I guess I kind of feel like this is one of those cases where we're talking about data again, and I guess what gets done with that data is going to be more important. Do they have any kind of, well, you said there's some kind of feedback mechanism to this. Do they have any, or?
Yeah, the idea, and I kind of asked them about that too, and there's some hypotheticals that they have, and obviously I think that's the big question is you get all this data, but what do you do with it? And the number one most obvious idea is this idea of feedback loops. And the idea behind that is that when human beings are shown evidence in front of them of what their behavior is and how they might improve it, they're more likely to follow through on those things. So there's a really interesting Wired article that we can link in the show notes that talks about, those when you're driving down the road and you see those signs that show the speed limit, and then they say your speed is, and then it shows you what your current speed is. Have you seen those? Do you have those down in Florida?
Sure. Oh yeah, they're all over.
They're pretty much everywhere now, but that was, so we kind of take them for granted, but that was a pretty revolutionary idea when it was first done. And it was proven that it actually reduced people's speed dramatically because they could see real-time feedback of how their behaviors were, impacting the world around them. And so this idea behind energy monitoring is the same sort of idea, where if end users are getting a real-time picture and a very granular view of how their habits at home are affecting their energy usage and their overall consumption, that they'll be more likely to improve on those habits and act in a more, in a manner that's greener, I guess. So that's the obvious implication there. I don't know if there's other applications for it in terms of automation, maybe using a TV turning on as a trigger point for something else to happen in the house, because theoretically that could be done now. I mean, if the
right. Well, I mean, to me, like if the TV turns on, and maybe the system kind of can figure out, Seth is in the living room right now watching TV. I could probably shut this light in the back room off that he left on, or maybe even dim it down to 30%. But
right.
Yeah, just all those sensor data just coming in and kind of improving and conserving energy in my home, and then you multiply that out by millions of homes. That could be a really, really powerful thing for the environment, for conservation of energy.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the trick there, like with any of these home automation hypotheticals, is like, okay, the TV turns on and you want that to act as a trigger point to maybe dim lights in the back room, but how does the system know if there's somebody in the back room? Or, there's those sort of things. So you could say, okay, well, when the TV comes on, I want, mood lighting in the family room, but maybe you don't always want mood lighting. Maybe you want to be able to still read a magazine, or, maybe your wife or husband or whoever else is in the room is doing something where they don't want the lights to come down. So there's all these crazy hypotheticals, and you can kind of go down that rabbit hole pretty easily. But I think the real challenge is going to be in making it smart enough to where it can work with us and not against us, So it's interesting. The electrical monitoring is actually only one facet of their initiative as well. They have devices that they're working on that can monitor the water pressure of your plumbing in your house, and it can actually like monitor that water pressure and tell the difference between sinks and washing machines and the different devices that are actually consuming water in your house as well. So
that's awesome.
It's not just electrical, but there's other applications for this technology. So
that could have paid for itself in 1 month when I first moved here and was getting used to my pool and having to fill up the pool.
Yeah.
I'd leave the hose in there running all night, and I'd wake up in the morning with a huge mess in the backyard. So a little device that just sat there and was monitoring my water usage could have thrown up a red flag or sent me a text message or something and said, hey, you're using hundreds of gallons of water for your backyard, or are you sure you want to keep doing this?
Yeah, you sure? Exactly.
So
and there's also implications there for monitoring for leaks as well.
Right.
Because that's a huge insurance claim every year. And so there's an interest, I'm sure, from insurance companies in this technology about, okay, what are the implications here, and how does this impact our customer base? And I don't doubt that we will see, insurance companies incentivizing people to use technology like this, assuming Belkin can execute on it the way that it's being talked about.
Yeah, well, I see it's probably going to come from municipalities first. I mean, considering where you are, and you guys are in a massive drought right now.
Yeah.
If everybody had some type of device that could either monitor or conserve water, or help the population conserve water easier. I mean, I think that a government or a regulating body would be all about having that ability to get that granular data and just spread it across the entire county or state and see where the high uses are coming from and really get some good data and in the end save some water. It's pretty precious when you get down and think about it.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing about it, is that this is sort of when you think about the monitoring from, let's say, a municipal level, it's kind of easy to get that picture of Big Brother in your head who's monitoring your energy usage and enforcing regulations and all of that sort of thing. But the idea behind a technology like Belkin is working on here is that it's not a top-down monitoring approach, but it's rather a bottom-up monitoring approach. So
right.
It's actually empowering the end users to monitor their own energy usage, and there may not be a direct negative consequence to them. Like, just because you're monitoring your energy usage doesn't mean that you're going to use less, but surprisingly, it typically does. People who measure this stuff are more conscious of it. And that's kind of the whole idea behind feedback loops. Like, there's no rule that says as soon as I start monitoring my energy usage, I'm going to use less. There's not a direct connection there.
Right.
But the idea is that if you're empowering end users and you're giving them access to all of this information, they're more likely to improve on that.
No, I absolutely believe that. I mean, I got one of those little Fitbit devices. Have you ever seen those?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I grabbed one of those and slapped it on my wrist and downloaded the app, put it on my phone, and what it does is it basically counts. It's a pedometer. It's a little fancier. It's got some other features on it, but I put it on my wrist and I was just appalled, I guess, to see how little I was actually moving. Yeah. So I guess I was conserving a lot of energy, and yeah. So it's pretty scary. And so the thing is, to me, that was kind of an eye-opening situation. I thought I go in, I work at office, I sit down most of the day, and I thought that I was moving around enough. I get up enough at the office and go walk outside and that kind of thing. But no. When you get the actual data in front of you,
right,
and that bar graph is that low.
It's eye-opening, isn't it?
Yeah. No, now it's get back in the gym, Seth, because I mean, even going to the gym 3 or 4 times a week doesn't cover you for the week.
Yeah,
on what you should be getting. So yeah, it's pretty startling. So yeah, right. I think if we get that kind of data in the house, and give it and like you said, empower people, it's absolutely going to have a positive effect on what we have on our energy usage as a country, as a nation, and maybe throughout the world.
Right. Yeah, I actually saw one interesting IFT recipe. You were talking about Fitbit, where they had the ability to, if you didn't meet your daily fitness goal, it would kill power to one of the Insight switches, which was in theory powering like the entertainment center. So you could actually sort of incentivize yourself, right? Like, I'm not going to be able to watch TV tonight unless I meet my Fitbit goals. And I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, it's not bad. I should also set it up to play a sad trombone sound at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll link to that one in the show notes.
Yeah.
In case anybody doesn't know what a sad trombone sounds like.
Yeah, or maybe you can edit it right in there.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great idea. I forgot about that. Cool.
But that was pretty much what we talked about down there. I was only down there for about an hour, but we covered a lot, and just like I said, got a chance to see their facility. Really beautiful place they have there, and it was a lot of fun to go check it out. So definitely keep an eye on Belkin, everyone. It's a cool company, and I think they get it. I think they see what's coming in the home automation market and energy conservation and clean technology, and I think that it'll be a lot of fun to watch them moving forward and see what they can come up with.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Jason, if people want to find you on the internet, where would they go looking?
I think Twitter is probably the best bet. I'm at Jason Griffing.
And I'm at Seth P. Johnson on Twitter as well. And then we also have a HomeTech podcast Twitter. It's at HomeTech Podcast. You can follow us there, and we post some and repost a couple of stories throughout the day. Mostly every day I've been noticing there's quite a bit that goes on there. So that's mostly Jason.
Yeah. Yeah, try to keep it relevant and interesting, and
all good stuff. Yeah, so if you're really interested in keeping top of the news, follow us there.
Absolutely.
Well, this wraps up. It looks like another episode for HomeTech. Thanks very much, Jason.
You got it. Thank you, Seth. I'll talk to you next week.
Yep. Have a good one.
All right. Take care.